Hey guys, with rotation going to be confirmed and we've got a new set coming out in August. I figured I would talk about some of the cards I'm going to miss and some cards I'm really glad that are going, and also talking about some cards that I'm looking forward to playing. These are based from scans from the Japanese Dragon Blade and Dragon Blast sets, so I'm not sure if all these cards are going to be available in the Dragons Exalted, but normally, based on previous Japanese sets, they do amalgamate it into one. But anyway, yeah, so this is, hope you guys enjoy the video. So with the rotation, we're going to be losing 5 blocks of cards. So there was a lot of cards in Pokemon at the moment, and a lot of unplayable cards. So all the Unleashed, Undaunted, Hard Boss, also the Triumphant and Core Legends cards are all going bye-bye. And from those cards, these 3 cards I'm really going to miss. Professor Oak's New Theory, Pokemon Collector, and Twins. Now, not many people play Twins. It was only really in sort of like rogue decks. It kind of really helped in my Selkor Lockbox deck and other various rogues when you're falling behind, to help you get sort of various stage 2 setup. And there's not really a replacement card for that. With Pokemon Collector, as you can see from this little picture, he was showing us you're going to have to be using Pokeballs soon. And Professor Oak's New Theory, there are various other support cards, which I will talk about in a moment. So with the Pokemon Collector, there was always kind of like that argument between what to play, Dual Ball or Pokemon Collector. But I mean, I've always been very much a fan of Pokemon Collector. I understand the benefit of Dual Ball, that because as a trainer you can play other support cards, but I'm not I'm not a fan of cards that rely on coin flips. I prefer cards that, boom, this effect is going to happen. And that's why Pokemon Collector was always sort of like a stalwart for me. I always made sure I ran 3, sometimes 4. The guys at Pokemon League always say run 4, but I like to run 3. But anyway, with those guys going, we're going to be using on the Ball engine. So we've got ourselves Level Ball already, Ultra Ball and Heavy Ball. These cards are obviously already available. Great cards in their own right, very different abilities in them. So we can pick out a Pokemon with 90 HP, or if we're playing sort of like Terrakion or Groudon or sort of like M-Balls, we can get them out with Heavy Ball. And then Ultra Ball is fantastic. We have to discard 2 cards, and that way allows us to pick any Pokemon. So that's going to help in various things like obviously the new Dark decks and in sort of Zekrom Eels to get those cards back from the graveyard. Also, there's Ultra Ball, sorry, not Ultra Ball, Great Ball. I don't know if we'll see much more play of this because, Pokemon decks nowadays don't tend to run sort of very thick Pokemon lines because it's about the strong basics. But we may see sort of some Great Balls. It allows us to look at the top 7 cards per deck, and when we find a Pokemon in there, we can put it into a hand. So that can be any sort of HP, any sort of retreat cost. So that kind of helps the cards that are like a retreat cost of 2 and 100 HP. So sort of like Zoroark, so it kind of helps to find those out instead of having to discard for it. But still, obviously, you've got the chance of not getting that. A card that I'm actually really glad is going is Junkarm. I'm really glad Junkarm is going because it kind of like breaks the game slightly. No longer can we get back all these sort of trainer cards. We've got to run thicker lines to get the consistency to make sure we draw into those. So all these sort of like really playable, really important cards. Pokemon communication probably won't run if you're using Ultra Ball, but if you're using sort of Level Ball and Heavy Ball, you may do. But things like, Candy, especially Dark Patch now. Dark Patch is so essential for Darkrai decks, basically keeping that energy acceleration to actually be able to compete with cards and decks like Zekrom Eels. And now with the lack of Junkarm, you've got to run 4 of that to keep the consistency to actually be able to use it. And I know you've got Sableye, so I guess it's kind of like a no point. You have got the Sableye, but still, you're definitely going to see thicker lines of these important trainer cards. I'm especially going to be running Max on my Pokemon catches. It's such a catcher-heavy format. And when we had Junkarm, you could get away with running 2. You'd get into it when you need it, or you Juniper it away if you had it, so you get it back at any point with your Junkarm. But now you're definitely going to have to run thicker lines. And Eviolite, a lot of people still use Eviolite. I like Eviolite in sort of like strong basic decks. It does, help them stay alive. So you're not going to get that back. And the same with like EXP share. Just that's another sort of card that you're going to have to run thicker line on. So with Professor Oak's New Theory, obviously, I have always been a big fan of this card. I've kind of swayed towards it more than Juniper, just because in playtesting I always end up having to like Juniper away a buttload of like supporters that I can't get back. And the great thing with Professor Oak is that you just kind of put those cards that you maybe had that you wanted but couldn't play them back into your deck. But at the same time, you had that kind of the double-edged sword where you might have had like a load of stuff that was unplayable, maybe you're a trainer lock or whatever that you didn't want to go back into your deck. So we may see sort of like more Biancas and maybe some more Sharons. I probably think maybe Bianca is going to be a good replacement for it. I don't really think we're going to see too many Sharons, but definitely Bianca, because it obviously allows you to draw cards and to have 6 in your hand. So a lot of the time you're going to empty out your hand, and instead of what we normally do is just play a Juniper and get 7, at least we'll be able to draw back and get 6. So yeah, that's going to be sort of a viable supporter. And instead of just having Juniper, instead of having such a heavy discard, I think running 4 Juniper, you're going to run the risk of decking yourself. So I think that's why Bianca's definitely going to see a lot more play. And we've already got, these guys are very staple in all decks at the moment. We always see Junipers and Ends, but I think now with the lack of Haunts, we're going to see maybe thicker lines on this. I do think running 4 Juniper, you bring that risk of decking yourself out, but I'll definitely be putting more Ends in my deck. I probably will add next Juniper, but maybe even going for 4 on the end, because disrupting your opponent's hand is such an important and powerful tool. For playing Magic the Gathering, it's an amazing sort of thing to have over your opponent to actually have control of that hand. Again, with more cards going, we're losing special metal energies. This is very prevalent in Durant. I think Durant is kind of a bit dead now thanks to Darkrai. But obviously we've got this new sort of rogue deck involving Kling Clang, and with the lack of special metal energies, that's going to remove that extra sort of damage buff we're getting from that. And we have got the new blend energy that's coming out, and that runs can give you 4 energy types. So that will obviously still maybe be put into that deck instead, just because that way that allows you to definitely get the energy types for the various different strong basics that you're using. With special dark going, I don't see that as a particularly bad thing, because you couldn't dark patch special darks, and I very often found that I would have special darks in my discard, but not normal dark energy. So this will actually make the dark patch and the Darkrai EX deck, I think, more consistent in my opinion, because that way you are definitely going to be ultra balling away those darkness energies to be able to use the dark patch. So that is not necessarily an extra 10 damage with Dark Claw. You're getting extra 20 from that anyway, so that's not really much of a loss. And also we're losing these guys. Now I'm really glad Smirgle's actually going for 1. It's going to slow the game down a little bit in my opinion, and yeah, I'm just generally just happy to see this guy go. But I am very sad to see a Vileplume. We're going to be losing a stable trainer lock from the bench, so that's really going to affect my Celebi Lockbox deck. And also, I'm in a mixed bag about Celebi Prime going, because yay, no more fucking CMT, so bored of playing that deck. But also it removes the energy acceleration which I needed in a Celebi Lockbox. And another card I'm losing from that as well is going to be Sunflora. Now Sunflora is another essential and important card to how that deck runs. It obviously allows me to get back those Shelmets and those Acelgors from the deck that I've decked and covered away, and get them back on the bench. Now there is kind of a way which I can get around this that I have thought, but the Celebi Prime, there is no energy acceleration now for me. The only thing that I will be relying on is getting DCEs, and with no twins, I've got to draw into those DCEs. It's going to make it very hard. Now, I have thought about we could maybe have Venusaur, and that obviously allows you to search your deck for any Pokemon. So that's pretty cool, because that will obviously allow you to search for the other line if you're going to run Gothitelle to keep the trainer lock on your opponent when they're paralyzed. So this could work, but now instead of having a stage 1, you've got a stage 2. And instead of having a stable trainer lock, you've got to have this guy active, so that way you've got to run switch yourself to get out of the way. So I'm very unsure how playable this deck is going to be. But another card that I'm really looking forward to is the new Terrakion EX. Now I do run a Terrakion and Empoleon deck. I do think it's a really cool deck, quite fun to play. But the new second attack that Terrakion EX has is Pump Smash, does 90 damage, and it allows you to play 2 basic energy cards from your hand onto your bench Pokemon. So that means if you have a Terrakion sitting on the bench, you can kind of get that ready to retaliate, and you can also charge up an Empoleon in one go. So that's going to be really, really cool. So we may see like a Terrakion EX Empoleon build, or we could just go for the straight Terrakion with EXP share. That means that we've got the Terrakion EX out, hitting for 90 damage with a cost of 2 fighting and a colourless, and knocking out sort of Zekrom EXs in one shot. And that way you can then stick a 2 energies onto, or 1 energy onto one Terrakion, another energy onto another Terrakion on your bench. They've both got EXP shares on, so if they manage to knock out your EX, that means you can put those energies straight onto your 2 different Terrakions, and you've got 2 Terrakions with Retaliate, so that's going to be absolutely awesome. Another deck that's going to see a lot of play, which is kind of going to be a counter now to the Terrakion deck, is going to be Rayquaza Eels. Now, Rayquaza obviously has not got the weakness to fighting, which like Zekrom has, and the great thing about this deck as well is the damage output you can do. A Fire and the Lightning energy, you discard either or, and the amount of those energies you discard, it does 60 damage per energy. And obviously with Eel and the Dynamator engine, you can get those guys back. And I'm definitely going to run mine with Raikou, because I think the ability to snipe 100 on your opponent's bench anywhere on their field is just amazing. And again with Zekrom, so he's got a free retreat cost and a weakness to fighting, so that's why I'm not going to play him anymore. You guys may still, but I feel that definitely he's lost his place in that deck for real. And one of the reasons why he definitely has is that retreat cost, because with Skyarrow Bridge, it allows that these two guys, Rayquaza and Raikou, now have free treat. So you can discard all your energy easily and get those guys back, or make sure you charge up another guy for the switch. So, you know, that's why I'm definitely running those guys. Another deck that's seeing a lot of play in Japan at the moment is Garchomp Altaria, mainly because of Altaria's ability. It basically means that your all Dragon Pokemon will do 20 more damage to the defending Pokemon. So that means that map cut for one fighting energy with one Altaria will do 80, or 2 on the bench, that's doing 100 damage for one energy. That's absolutely amazing. And again, Dragon Blade can do more damage. A card as well that I think is going to be great in that deck, and also sort of like in other decks, is Sigilyph, just because its ability means Safeguard, that all damage and effects from EX Pokemon don't affect it. So with obviously things like the other Blend Energy and Prism Energies, it's very a viable card to have in your deck, and you can completely shut down EXs. They can't do any damage to you, and its attack does 50 damage, but 10 more for every energy attached to the opponent's opponent's active. Sorry, so Mewtwo EX with 3 energies onto it, it's going to be a one-hit KO, which is going to be absolutely amazing. The problem is, with a lot of these special metals or these special energies around, we're going to see a lot more enhanced hammers, so that's going to completely slow you down, taking away those blend energies, taking away those prism energies. You don't really want to be running any sort of like psychic energies in that deck. You want to be mainly focusing on the energies that the Altaria and the Garchomp run. So that's gonna fuck your day up basically. So again, yeah, we're going to see a lot more of the enhanced hammers in decks, and all sort of cards of Pokemon. That isn't an insta-win situation. There are ways around it. The new Giratina EX, its attack shred, this attack's damage isn't affected by any effects on the defending Pokemon. So again, with the with this blend energy, that is going to allow you to get the leaf and the psychic energy, so the grass and the psychic, and that means you're going to be able to knock out any Sigilyphs that are in the way. So that kind of it balances out a bit, and it's a fairly playable Giratina. I still think we're going to see a lot more Sigilyphs and not too many Giratinas, but still cool cards. But also, last thing I'm going to talk about is the worst card ever, Slacking. Its ability boggles my mind. It doesn't allow you can't attack if the defending Pokemon is basic. Now, how many Zekroms do we see and Mewtwo EXs do we see and various other sort of like basics in EXs? And this guy can't attack it. If someone was playing Slacking, I would just attack them with my Dynamo and troll the fuck out of them. Why the hell is this card in our format? Ridiculous. So anyway guys, hope you enjoyed the video. If you click on these annotations, you'll see a battle on the left of me using my Silver Lockbox against a Darkrai Tornadus. I make some mistakes because I'm tired, like I always do, and say something stupid, but the guys at Pokemon point out for me, so I correct it with annotations. On the right is the deck profile of that deck at the moment with the current legal cards. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, do your thing. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and like to see your opinions on what cards you think are really good. Catch you later. Bye.